You're still watching TVC Breakfast. We're now going to the Center of Unity where we'll link up with Eshomomo Imodu and TVC Adeoye in our Abuja studio for the FCT brief. In Akwana, over to you, Abuja.
Nakwanaria, good morning. It's good to hear from you this morning. Abuja is cold and it's raining over here.
I think a good time to be in Abuja with the cold breeze that keeps blowing with this rain, TJ.
Yeah.
I guess you're enjoying your sleep.
Well, as you can see, I'm very covered up this morning, so I'm well kitted for the weather.
Exactly. Let's go to what we have for our viewers. Now, welcome to FCT Brief. As heavy rains continue to drench parts of the country, rising water levels are once again stirring fears of devastating floods and their far-reaching impact across Nigeria. Now, authorities have announced plans to release excess water from the Kainji, Jeba, Shiroro, and Zongeru dams, a precautionary measure to prevent structural pressure on the facilities, but one that also poses potential risks to downstream communities. The Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency has issued alerts warning that the controlled release could aggravate flood situations in low-lying areas, particularly along the River Niger Basin. State governments and residents are being urged to brace up, relocate from flood-prone zones, and adhere to warning advisories to minimize casualties and property loss.
This development comes amid ongoing humanitarian and environmental concerns as several states are still grappling with the effects of previous floods that displaced thousands and damaged farmlands. With the release schedule expected to span several days, attention now shifts to how swiftly local authorities can respond of this impending discharge, the level of preparedness by disaster management agencies, and what must be done to protect lives and livelihoods as Nigeria faces yet another flood warning season. And to help us run through this conversation is an environmental consultant and MD CEO, MacPress West Africa Limited. His name is Chief Idowu Salawu. Welcome to the program, sir. Good morning, sir. Can you hear us? Kindly unmute your device, please. Mr. Salawu? All right, why Mr. Salawu is... All right. Okay. Mr. Salawu, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you. I can hear you.
All right. Good morning. Well, with the issue at hand at the moment, can you help us understand the gravity of this national risk? Because many Nigerian major dams are decades old, poorly maintained, and weakening, and yet we are not seeing any new ones being built. Now, help us understand the level of risk we tend to face with this release.
Oh, yeah, your question is very simple, and I think the answer to it is, if we look at the historical background of one of the major dams that is being constructed on the River Niger, which is the Kainji Dam. That Kainji Dam was constructed in the 60s, I think 1965, around that time, and spanned for 3 years. Around 1968, it was opened. And if you look at the dimension, that is the capacity, that Kainji Dam can hold about 15,000 cubic meters of water. So if we are talking about the impact of what we just said about what may likely be the effects of water being released from these assets, then it's going to have an environmental impact, economic impact, social impact, and that will lead to loss in millions of naira of losses to both farmland, property, rail line, infrastructure. So that means we need to be very proactive to be able to mitigate the effect of this flooding that may occur from the release. And don't forget, releasing water from dam is a normal occurrence. Why do we need to release water? When the height of the water in the dam is going higher from the upstream, it has to be released towards the downstream. And the people that will feel the impact are those people at the river bank, on the spillway, or on the downstream of the dam. So we need to now put in place. The first thing we are doing, which is the right thing, is to send information out. The second thing now is to have early warning signs, then send information out to the people, then put measures in place to control and mitigate the effect. If not, then people who always have a kind of affinity to their family land, to their homeland, ancestral land, we need to move them away to reduce the casualty and the impact on people. So
Okay.
now, that is the best thing.
All right, Mr. Salawu, I think you rightly noted that it's a periodic part of a dam management system to open up the dam, because, yeah, if you open up the dam, it might overflow and destroy communities. But if you don't open up the dams when it gets to its optimal level and it breaks, it is more devastating. But why is it that in Nigeria, we keep going through this? It's like a cycle we keep going through. There will be warning that there will be rainfall. There will be warning that there will be flooding. And every year we go through the same rhetorics and the same asking the people to move to upland area. And on one hand, we say it is climate change. Now, why is it difficult for us to kind of have a more pragmatic checking system on the extent of flooding? Because the rainfall is seasonal, and it happens every year. We go through the same rhetoric. So what exactly is happening? Poor management or policies issue? All.
Poor management, policy issue. And I'll give you about inconsistency in policy by the authority. You know that when you construct a dam, there should be a routine maintenance that should happen. It should be yearly, if not monthly, the silting, checking the floodgate, the spillway, the retaining wall. All this has to be, budget has to be put in place for it, so that the smooth operation of the dam. But don't forget, dam, as they have the benefits, the same thing they have the other benefits. What I mean by other benefits, that the side effects. The benefit is you use dam to control flooding, you use dam to do fishing, you use dam to generate electricity, and for irrigation, and even for tourism, where dam is being properly managed. They are source of income for government and authority. But in this case, we are facing the negative impact of failure of not maintaining the dam properly. And that is due to inadequate funding. Because it is not easy to maintain a spillway of a dam. The stretch of that dam is long, over 10 kilometers. For the Kanji Dam alone, talk less of other dams. So if water is released, if you see the quantity or the quantum of water that may likely be released, we are talking about between 18 to 20,000 cubic meters. Let's look at the allowed dam that just gave us the one that happened 2024 in Borno State. That's Maiduguri. You can see the devastating effects of just the breaking of allowed dam. It's not as big as Kanji Dam. So to forestall this negative impact, that is the environmental impact and of flooding on the environment, then we need to let the authority know that the earlier the better, they put money or the right funding in place to be able to tackle this problem or challenges that we are facing towards in maintaining our dams and infrastructure for water retention. So that's my own advice.
All right, Mr. Salawu, you mentioned routine maintenance, the lack of it. If Jeba, Kanji, and Zugeru all release water at the same time, the surge downstream is overwhelming, and that is what we see on a routine basis happening. Isn't it possible to have like a single coordinated release of each of the dams, you understand, so that it doesn't overwhelm the communities and the impact is not so much felt?
it might be possible, but don't forget, each dam has their own capacity, and they might have a retention level, so it might not be the same. Don't forget, one is higher or larger than other. The Jeba one is about 3,600 cubic meter, while Kanji is about 15,000 cubic. So the Kanji home might be maybe the Jeba home might be a little maybe might be filled quicker than the Kanji home. So the release might not be the same at the same time, and that's why you need to prepare for release. And you can't just release anyhow; it must be systematically. Because if you release, the flow might affect the velocity of the water, might affect might take more impact. But so it's better they release it in a kind of systematic and maybe a control release. Yeah, that's the right word, control release. That's the best way. But releasing all at the same time, we may not be able to face the effects. Of the impact of the water, that might be the impact of the water on the environment, or farmland, or infrastructure. So it's not advisable that the three dams will be released at the same time. So there must be a kind of control release of those water that might be excess. That's my own advice, professional advice.
Oh, Mr. Salawu, from what you've explained, it sounds more like a liability than an asset at this point. But before we continue, we'll take this quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're glad to have you back. Thank you for staying with FCT Brief. Now we'll continue our conversation on flood risk and, you know, the stuff that we do to, you know, prevent this from happening, or the impact felt so much.
Mr. Salawu, with this coordinated release of water from these major dams in Nigeria, what exactly can the various local governments do? Because, okay, some of these dams are being managed by private entities, but the other waterways are not managed by those entities. What role and how can the local government, or maybe even the state government, get involved in emergency management? Because we know that water will be released, we know that rainfall will come someday. So what should be their various role before these releases come in?
Everybody have a role, both individual, government, at different levels. We have role. The role of federal government is to make sure that early warning sign is given out, and that's then information dissemination to reduce casualty or impact of the flooding. And all this has been taken care, and that's exactly what we are doing right now. Now, what is the role of individual in this matter? Individuals should go, who are already at the bank of the river in the low-lying area, should start relocating now. They should start taking their belongings and fear to their life. That's one. Two, individuals should look at if their farmland is there, they should just forget about going to their farm for any activity. Then, individuals who build houses on the floodplain, again, they should try to know or look for another way of where to go to, and again, people should stop dumping waste or refuse on the spillway of rivers or stream. These are what causes severe flooding. So that's for individuals. For the state government and the local government, they should be thinking of where to, maybe like a flood relief area for those that will be affected, so that they will get suffer. At least anybody that flood has affected, his property, his housing, his farmland, needs some support from government. So these are the advice I would give. Relief, national emergency management agency, state emergency management, and local government area emergency management agencies will work in collaboration, so that people that will be affected we have a support or something to fall back just to sustain themselves before they get back on track. That is the advice I would give.
All right, Mr. Salawu, I always say that with every challenge comes opportunity. And this is one reoccurring challenge that we keep seeing, these floods and all of that. But why has it been so difficult to pick, some sort of relief from this flooding? Take a look at our energy sector. I'm talking about electricity now. We have an electricity challenge. Why has it been so difficult to convert this challenge to improve our electricity sector?
Thank you for that question. You see, we've been asking, some of us who are professional, who are industry workers on this same part, that same question we asked. We've been asking that from the River Niger axis to Lokoja, River Benue need to be dammed. River Niger is dammed. River Benue need to be dammed to reduce. Don't forget, look at the structure, the way the Nigerian structure is being done. The two rivers that traverse Nigeria. We have River Niger coming from the Republic of Benin. Then River Benue coming from Cameroon, Niger, all those axes. From Niger. Now, all those rivers need to be dammed. We need a dam around that confluence center, the section. This is between Lokoja and down to Anambra, so that it will reduce it will hold the water for some time before being released, and the impact will not be felt too much before it gets through to the Atlantic Ocean through rivers, Bayelsa. So part of the benefit of dam, we should be able to utilize it, and that's what we used to say. There have been several studies where flood water is now being used for irrigation because they do water retention facility. Then flood water could be used for reservoir. That's why dam is there for fishing. Those are the benefits of damming a river. So apart from controlling flooding, so the government the question is, where will the funding come from? Because it involves a lot of money to be able to construct a dam. As at 1964, millions of dollars was used in constructing Kanji Dam. That translates to about billions of dollars now if you want to do a similar thing. So that's why it's always good to plan ahead. Well, now we have known that this is an annual problem that we've been facing, the perennial flooding from overflowing of rivers, from dam being overflowed. So we should construct more dams. In Nigeria now, as of today, we have over almost 323 dams. Most of them located in the northern part of the country. So we should be thinking of more dams that will reduce the impact of flooding in Nigeria. That's my take.
Okay, let's look at technology also. We have dams, and also along the flood, the waterways of River Niger, or maybe even River Benue, you have communities that live there. And oftentimes, government will say communities should relocate. Now, when we ask them to relocate, do we take into cognizance that their source of livelihood, probably farming, is erased? Do we take into cognizance the school of their children? They won't go to school. Shouldn't we begin to look at how to apply technology? For probably technology farming. That, okay, if you're on the waterways, you don't need to farm that area, and we adopt measure that technology has given us so that that type of farming is seriously integrated in those communities. How can government expedite these so that we don't keep telling them, move away from your source of livelihood? Who provides for them?
See, that's the good question. We have done a case study of Asa River. Asa River is located in Ilorin, and it has a spillway. That spillway nearly separates Ilorin into two. We have worked on the spillway. We have been able to contain the river. We have been able to, and that was done in 2013 through the Ecological Fund. And I remember Asa River spillway, which is the Asa River spillway in Ilorin, spanned to about 15 kilometers. They were able to do just 1 kilometer of dredging cost of doing that is about over 1 billion naira as of 2013, right? Then we suggested that there are some community around the river bank, from Amilegbe to Okumaluja area up to Akrebiata, that are using Asa River for farming. So we collaborated with some researchers that we should do a kind of green farming system along the river, so that the water that they will be using will be regulated, and that is using a kind of we are trying to see vegetables being planted in a greenhouse. We try to see their tomato being planted along the river, so, which is correct. It's the kind of use of technology. But when we are doing, before we can do that, the river has to be tamed first, so that you can maintain, you can know when the excess water is being released, the spillway will not be overflooded, and the river bank is being built so that the water is contained. Without that, you can't use that kind of technology. The only way you can use what we are planning to use flood water for is for irrigation. That could be used for irrigation, and that will involve a lot of money too, and that's in terms of using lift pump and water retention, that is moving water from the flooded area to a high area. And you need to do a kind of water harvesting. What you mean by what? You need a lift pump, a high pressure pump, and you need a retaining infrastructure, which costs a lot of money. That's the kind of technology that we might be looking at now. For government to do, and Ministry of Water Resources to collaborate with Ministry of Environment, to collaborate with Ecological Fund Office, they can come up with a master plan so that this excess water will be useful for, as we have it now, we can move them from the low-lying area to higher and retain the water. It's being done in South Africa for those who are doing mining. When they have excess water during the rainy season, they move it to a high area using the lift pump station and pressure pump to move it and retain the water. So these are the things. The same thing, and Mr. President is being advised, I think during his manifesto in climate change, under climate change, he's promised that the same system we advise that we can use to move water from the Gongola River to Lake Chad. If you want to do the charging of Lake Chad, those are the same system that could be used. And that is how it's being used worldwide. So you move water from excess water from low-lying area using the lift pump, and that is a big infrastructure project. Right. So we need to look into that, and I advise that government can do it, but it involves a lot of money.
All right, Mr. Salawu. Earlier, Eshomomo asked you what these local communities and the states can do concerning their level of preparedness for these floods. But year after year, agencies at the federal and state level seem to operate in silos in this flood management. How much devastation is simply down to poor interagency collaboration?
I think it's looking better now. I think NEMA is partnering with state governments, Ministry of Water Resources, their agency are working with the environment now. But in the past, we used to everybody uncoordinated approach they put for flooding. And I think because of our sensitization and when they are looking at the impact of flooding now, you see, the same way, I used to say this, when you are looking at the effect of flooding on our environment, flooding affects human life, economic, infrastructure, the same way insurgency affects human life, economic, and infrastructure. One is, even the one for, if you look at the money they have spent to tackle insurgency, I don't think it's close to what we have been using to tackle flooding. And the same impact, almost similar impact in terms of fatality and infrastructure, the destruction of farmland. During flooding, you can't go to farm. During flooding, you can't go to school. During flooding, you cannot do economic activity. During flooding, even insurgents cannot come out to come and fight their enemy, whosoever, whatever, to come and carry out their nefarious activity. So, the same thing, you can see the effect of flooding. So, the impact is enormous. So we keep saying, the same way you are spending money to fight insurgency, why don't you put more effort too? Because insurgency and flooding is both natural and man-made. But we can tackle it if we can reduce the impact. The same way we are fighting insurgency in the North Central and other areas that we're having maybe the internal crisis. So that's my own advice.
Okay, let me quickly ask this, just in your response in just about a minute. We have the Sovereign Wealth Fund. I'm asking that, how much impact will it make if the excess revenue governments, whether the federal and states, are making now, some portion of it is channeled into Sovereign Wealth Fund so that we can invest in deepening our dams, maybe constructing more dams to prevent this perennial flooding crisis? How much impact would that make for the system?
That's a good question. You see, we have to look at the economic benefit of what you just raised now. If the Sovereign Wealth Fund collaborate with the Ministry of Water Resources and they provide funds for more dams to be built, you can see the benefit that we arise from that. We look at economic benefit from fishing activities. We look at the economic benefit from electricity, that hydroelectric production. We look at the economic activity from irrigation too, which is reduce food insecurity. So these are ecological problem of this nature. What are they doing? How many of the dams have they participated in reconstructing or even desilting? The major maintenance of this. That is where the interagency collaboration needs to come from. And I think saying they must reduce that ecological point of view. At the same time, the Sovereign Wealth Fund that you are talking about, we have other funds, multilateral funds that can come from African Development Bank and from World Bank that can assist us. Because these are going to be an income-generating venture for the state or for the country. We are talking of fishing activities. We are talking of hydroelectric. We are talking about irrigation. If we look at the positive impact of investing.
All right, Mr. Salawu.
In dam management and
Mr.
water management. Look at what Lagos State just did of recent.
We hear you and we get your point, but unfortunately we've run out of time completely. Well, we must say thank you so much for your contributions. We definitely hope that government is listening and is able to mitigate these challenges with long-lasting solutions. Thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of our conversation. Now, we'll now hand you over to Lagos, where Ria and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you so much, Abuja. I totally loved that interview. Thank you.